Listening.
Because they would have either been killed by that driver or something like that. So I think it is very important that really we do this. And with only 26 transporters and 26,000 drivers having passed your centers, what could be happening to the rest of the people who don't pass them? Especially the private motorists. And you know the statistics that we have the perception that the biggest killers are PSB's matatus. Yes, the numbers are high, but I can tell you the private motorist is leading. So we have a lot to do. And one of the things that we have undertaken as NTSA to do this financial year is to develop regulations to govern what we call roadside rest stations, so that we put it and anchor it in law to support some of the initiatives that the ones you are doing. So that those who are not voluntarily willing to come, can be brought on board. It becomes mandatory that you must be able to demonstrate that you have subscribed to, not necessarily road safety pioneers, but anybody else who is offering a similar service, to check how many hours are you driving, have you rested? And I want to congratulate you because you have even gone beyond some of the expectations, that the basics. And on the issue of whether a driver who has been reported 3 times having been drunk is to be allowed by the law, we can't compromise on that. And we are actually working on a program to blacklist all drivers, such as the ones we are talking about, so that anybody who wants to hire a driver can have a database where you can go and check the behavior of this driver. If you are caught 3 times driving while drunk, honestly, you are not supposed to be on the road. You are not just a danger to yourself, you are a danger to all other motorists. And unfortunately, we developed what we call the minor traffic offenses in 2006. And the new driving license has a demerit point system. And one of them, unfortunately, is a matter that is in court, that has stopped as the implementation of that gazette notice. If you are caught drink driving, you lose 14 points on your driving license. That is a suspension for 6 months without driving. So I think we are on track on some of these issues, and I'm sure we'll be working very closely to support your cause so that we are all safe on our roads. I also know that in the recent past you have seen that NTSA has moved out of enforcement. Enforcement is not one of our key mandates as NTSA, but this has really been sometimes it's not been understood clearly. And I want now to take the liberty to clearly try to clarify. If you look at our act, enforcement is not certainly one of them. The National Police Service has the overall responsibility to enforce each and every law in this country, not just the NTSA Act or the Traffic Act. And therefore, we went into the road because we wanted to support them to achieve road safety objective. But there was some kind of overlappings, and it was the government found it suitable that let it be clear so that the responsibilities knows where it lies. So that if they fail to enforce the law, there is no saying, oh, is it NTSA, is it the traffic? No. Let them take that responsibility to enforce the traffic rules. For us, we will step back. We will support them, obviously, because we actually conjoined. I don't know at the head or the hip, but somewhere we are conjoined. We must work together. And we will now concentrate more on public education and awareness to try and drive behavior change, to try and show drivers that it is important that they behave, it is in their best interest, and therefore start maybe changing behavior towards the desired direction. So we will be partnering with like-minded institutions such as Pioneer Road Safety, to try and educate and become visible in public education and awareness. So you will be seeing us play a lot in that platform. We will also be playing a big role in investment, especially in technology, to help us to sustainably enhance or even invest use of technology to improve or to change behavior. Issues like profiling of drivers, recording their mistakes so that anybody can, we will be investing a lot more on that. I want also to encourage that the role and to emphasize again the role, the critical role that road transport plays in this economy, and especially the northern corridor where you also play a lot. Over 90% of goods and services are transported by on road currently. The northern corridor, that is from Mombasa to Malaba, is so critical, not just for Kenya, but for the entire region. It's a very, very important transport corridor. But this corridor also, our statistics clearly indicate that 46% of the fatalities in these countries occur in the northern corridor. So when I see that out of the 8 stations that you have put up, 7 of them are along the northern corridor, it actually points towards the importance of this corridor. There are counties, such as Nakuru, for instance, where when you look at the total figures of fatalities in that particular county, 56% are because of the northern corridor, the section of the road that crosses through the northern corridor. Salga being one of them. So I think there is every reason for us to work together, and very important also, I think it is also high time we started bringing other operators, not just the heavy commercial vehicle transporters, the PSVs, the long distance buses that transverses Mombasa, Nairobi, from Nairobi to the western part of the country. We really must reach out to them for them to see some of these things. And working with you, we can actually see how we can have a forum for you to talk to them and show them these figures that you are showing them. Because so often when we talk to them as regulators, they think that we are intruding into their businesses. But I believe when private people who have seen the benefit talk to them, they will be able to see the sense, and I believe they should be able to partner with you to achieve some of these objectives. And by so doing, we are able to address the concerns of road safety. So I think, Happy, I want to assure you on our commitment in that front. Working also in partnership with stakeholders on road safety, NTSA has actually done a comprehensive road safety audit along the northern corridor and Nairobi hazardous zones. A very comprehensive document that has come up to a very voluminous book such as this one. And from this study, which covered about 1,652 kilometers, we are able to identify 273 black spots that will be helpful to institutions such as yours to inform drivers that when you are approaching such and such a place, this is the risk that you are expected to find out or to see, and this is how to avoid it. But most importantly also, some of these hazardous spots have to do with engineering challenges, and we are now talking with the various road authorities who actually also participated in the mapping of this to try and correct and address some of those challenges. So we will be working with this, and we are actually looking forward to having a digital kind of a map along that corridor that identifies some of these challenges, so that transporters can actually incorporate some of these things to their drivers. And when you are approaching a black spot, you can be warned that you are approaching a hazardous spot, and therefore making them more aware and proactively they will be able to foresee the challenges that is in front of them, and by so doing we can minimize some of the challenges that we see on our roads on a daily basis. And Habel and therefore want to present to you a copy of this book on the Northern Corridor and Nairobi Country Hazardous Mapping Report. I believe this will help you disseminate this information to some of the drivers who pass through your stations. And as we work towards having one that is digitized, and we should be able to share with all the transporters so that we can start using and taking the benefits of some of these reports that we are developing.